Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're on day number 11 of going deeper, a series of meditations that I'm doing with my guides and with a few extra special guests, I guess you could say. And today I am feeling pretty good. It's one day before I take the citizenship test here in Germany to move the ball forward as far as getting my citizenship, and I'm really psyched about it now. I said I don't feel as nervous as I did, and everybody's telling me you're going to do this, you've got this, and I need to believe them that this will come to pass and that I will actually get this. So I'm going to start by pulling a card. And again, I'm using the Gilded Tarot, which I seem to be really gelling with. These cards really do speak to me in terms of what I need to know or what applies to the meditations. And I'm feeling very, very optimistically about using the deck. And I'm getting a little bit better and feeling more confident with regards to pulling tarot and seeing what cards come up. And ironically, the last couple of days I've pulled more than one card, and I don't know, I don't know if that's going to happen as we move along. If I start pulling 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 cards, I'm not sure. I just have to play it by ear and see what happens. But at any rate, let me just keep shuffling these until my guides tell me to stop. Okay. So they just said stop, and so I'm going to pull this card up. Optimism, the sun. Okay, here we go. This is a very optimistic card, probably one of the most optimistic cards in the deck, in the tarot. This is a revelation, shining light where darkness was before, being able to see the good and the positive that is going on around. And just overall, just a really good, positive, optimistic card here. I'm very excited that I get this card one day before I take the test. I think that's kind of giving me a message that all will be well and that I will get through this shining brightly and with flying colors. So that's the card for today. And I'm going to start with the meditation. Today's day number 11. It's April 23rd, 2025. And here we go. I said, I'm feeling sort of a vibration around me. Is there something I need to know? And Nigel says, you need to know that all will be well. You are nervous, so try to do this. Try to dispel the nervous energy. Oftentimes people are nervous for no good reason. You know what you need to know. You know what you need to do. You have worked through all of the questions, so once you go through them, just know that all will be well. Sometimes the logic in your mind is there. You just do nothing to bring that forward. You must do nothing to bring that forward. Remember, the hardest test of knowledge is behind you. You've gotten past the most difficult test of knowledge. The fact that you have studied is the sign that no surprises will present themselves to you. I said, I was never really smart in school. And Nigel says, you were. You just didn't apply yourself. It was the same with the flute. You asked yourself back when you were a child, why did I not get it? Practice makes the master. You did not connect with Metatron on the first day you meditated. You came to a point where you could hear him. Then you heard me. You have 5 notebooks full of writing. Once you complete the test, you can set about to writing them down in the computer. As you make new paths and new discoveries, you will see that all becomes easier. The same as with the test. Much of that is logic. You know from the act of seeing and hearing that brings you to this point. You studied this stuff. The information is deep inside of you. The real test will be in bringing that forth. It is the same with any test. You ask yourself, how is it possible for children of today to not know something, or that your husband returns home frustrated by the fact that he gives them the information but they don't remember it? The reason these children don't remember is that there are no consequences for them to remember it. Let's break this down a bit, and generally this is in Ramon's level of expertise, but he has assured me that I'm doing fine in explaining it. You're told that no matter how you do in the test, that it will be granted to you. What do you do? I said, I tend to not worry if I know the outcome will be the same regardless. And Nigel says, right. When you know or believe that there will be no consequences, then what is the point? Now you know that you have to go get at least half of the questions correct in order to pass the exam. What do you think? I think it's a very low bar, I said. I mean, half is 50%. That is like a better chance if, say, the bar was at 60%, as was the case with the language test, or 75%, as was the case with the ham radio test. Nigel says, so you think that you have a chance of reaching the threshold? So why do you want to get a perfect score? I said, I guess it's my own ambition over anything else. I want people to see that I'm really determined to do something, not just the bare minimum, but to exceed beyond that. Nigel says, but the outcome will be the same. And I said, maybe, but I want to still do my best as I can, not really about proving to someone else, but more or less proving it to myself. Nigel says, so now you're at the crux of things. You want to show yourself that you are capable. I said, yeah. After slacking off through much of my youth, I want to prove to myself that I am capable of taking a test, not just squeaking by, but truly leaving the test room and saying without trepidation that I passed the test, that I know the material, and that I am not the person I was 30 plus years ago. I probably would have had an even higher GPA if I had actually applied myself. Nigel says, so in other words, you learn that lesson that as long as you do devote some time and energy to doing the things that you needed to do, that you would have done more than just squeak by. What else do you think? What else do you think of? I said, I think of people like my Russian studies advisor. He was not a nice person, but after devoting 4 years to learning to speak Russian, the guy basically tells me that I'm terrible with languages and should just give them up. Nigel says, is that why your exceptional score on the language test was so significant? I said, yeah, it is basically my way of looking back on that guy who told me I had no talent with languages to tell him to stuff it where the sun don't shine. Nigel says, did you really do that to show him or show yourself? I said, probably to show myself. The guy probably has transitioned since I left the university. He wasn't all that young when I was there, so maybe if he did transition, he knows now that I think very little of his so-called opinions. And Nigel says, he knows that now. Perhaps your attitude towards him has made you, instead of feeling resentful, made you more determined. And this is when the advisor comes in, and I'll just call him HW, which was his initials, but I won't mention his name because it's not worth it. But anyway, he says, you said yourself that you would prove me wrong, and you did. I said, so you're here. What do you want me to say? He says, I don't want you to say anything. I think it is me who should be the one saying it. I'm sorry. I should never have said that to you. I said, why did you? And he said, I envied you. I could see your absolute enthusiasm about what you were learning, and I did not like the fact that I was feeling burnt out with it. You were the antithesis of what I felt. Many of the others in the class, who may have been better than you with speaking, were probably busting themselves left, right, and center to do well, and you had the passion that they lacked. Even the Russian man who taught the classes had the passion and enthusiasm, and I lacked it. I said, you were very inspiring at first. I liked you. I respected you. In the end, I felt like I was constantly trying to prove myself to you. When I said that, I was not just saying it as a matter of fact. It was me trying to save my own dignity. One of the guys I worked with at the library said that you had said something similar to him. Later, he ended up quitting. And he says, yes, your friend allowed me to do that to him. I later learned from another professor what many of the students thought of me. I said, was it the same as what I thought? And he said, your thoughts were rather light compared to what others thought of me. Did you know that the other Russian teacher confronted me after we spoke? I said, no. I just knew that after I told him what happened, he was angry. I remember I had left your office and was walking back down to the dorm where I lived, and was trying to fight back the tears. He was outside smoking a cigarette and saw me and stopped me. He asked me what happened, and I told him. And he said, "What did he say?" I said, "Well, he basically called you an asshole and said that I should not allow you to deter me from learning." He was genuinely angry, but after he gave me a hug, I continued on my way home. And he went back inside. I never knew what happened after that, and we never spoke again. About a month later, I graduated, and when I left the university, I felt like a chapter in my life had ended. I was no longer interested in learning at a school. I just wanted to put it all behind me. The ham radio test was the first one I had taken since my time at the university, and being told that I was smart essentially made up for the words you had said back in the day. And he said, "That's why I'm sorry. I never wanted to ruin your last days at the university. In hindsight, I would have told you that you should have followed your heart's desire." I said, "That would have been music. If you had said to me at the start, I probably would have switched my major to music." He said, "Humanities would have suited you." I said, "Maybe, but there are a lot of things that were holding me back during that time." And he said, "Family?" I said, "Yeah." When I moved to Germany, things with them weren't lopsided. I decided a long time ago that leaving the U.S. was not just something I wanted to do, but something I really had to do. Now I'm getting ready to apply for German citizenship because I have been here for nearly 30 years. He says, "In other words, you care about what you're learning. So I will tell you this, you will pass the test, you know the stuff, and although you may not have used your Russian studies degree, the political science degree will help you. It has helped you. Many of the answers are in your mind. Now all you must do is apply them. As these answers come to you, you can release the past as well as the false notions about your intelligence or your capabilities." In other words, Yvette, you have indeed proven me wrong. I said, "Thank you. I appreciate your apology and I forgive you." And he says, "Thank you." And Nigel says, "You see now how you've made peace with a part of your past. Now you can go forward tomorrow and take that test with renewed vigor and a clear mind." I said, "That means a lot. I do feel as though now I can do this. Even if I don't get a perfect score, I realize that it really doesn't matter. I don't have to prove myself that I'm smart. 95% will suffice." Nigel says, "You are smiling now. That is good. Go forward today with a smile. Have a look through your notebook and know that your guides and angels will be with you. You've got this." I said, "Thank you, Nigel. Thank you, Professor. I feel lighter in all of this now. I will do it." And that's where we ended. So, yeah, I had no idea that my past might have been what was bringing me to this point where I wanted to prove that I was smart or that I could do it. I never realized that there was a lot of connections to that might have an impact on what I'm doing today. And I think that applies to a lot of people. I think a lot of people have that going on where they look at their past and then they look at their present and they're like, a lot of the things that happened in the past have an impact on what their present is, which means this really does apply here. This is the enlightenment. This is the bringing the light into focus and into view. And just for fun, I'm going to pull a second card and see what it says. And this one is the Magician. Zimzalabim. I got this. I'm going to get this. The fact that I got two major arcana in one pull, or two pulls, if you will, I think that's really a very enlightening thing. But just for fun, I'm going to pull the book and I'm going to see what these cards actually do say. So, the first one is the Magician. Here we go. Or the first one was the Sun, which I think I explained. But the Magician is this one. It says, "The magician looks directly at us with a concerned gaze. Before him we see four elements of the tarot represented, the souls of his trade magically and mysteriously suspended in the air, which he has mastered through dedication and concentration of will. A bright light emanates from above his head. He is link between heaven and earth that brings forth the manifestation of matter. We are aware that we are in the presence of a master with fine-tuned abilities and skill. The number 1 represents the creative potential and power, the beginning." The magician's message is to inform you that you have all the skills and ability required to handle a task well and bring it to a successful conclusion. Just like the magician, you must apply yourself with concentration and willpower in order to succeed, but you have all the potential to do so. This is time for action and initiative in any new venture. You need to have confidence that you are indeed heading in the right direction. Wow. I got this. I got this. With these two cards, I got this. This is going to be great. So tomorrow is the day. That's where the rubber's going to meet the road. We're going to find out how I do. I got one more meditation before that, and we'll see what happens. By Friday, you'll either see a very happy person or you'll see someone who's not so happy. But I think, given the cards, given the messages that I've been getting, I've got this. You're going to see a very happy and very relieved person sitting in front of this mobile device on Friday morning. So here we go. Take care and have a really wonderful day. I hope that it will be fantastic. Husband's just coming home, so I'm out. So with all the happiness and joy there is, namaste.